Thank you all for joining. For those who haven't met yet, I'm Elliot, the Chief Product Officer here at Bauhurst. It's great to see the variety of customers that are kind of flooding through, and soon to be customers for many of you as well. It's a real testament to the broad impact that I think our data can have. And hopefully today there'll be one new data set you can find out about that will keep making that impact as well. I see a few names on the list that have been with us for several years. And those who remember back then, we were focused exclusively on the high growth ecosystem. This was a few tens of thousands of companies that we did deep research on, those who received an equity fundraising, maybe received an innovation grant or one of our other growth triggers. And this served us very well then and continues to serve us very well today. But the number one request I always receive is people want more and more companies share the same great data across as many companies as possible. This is across all our different customer types, whether it's investors looking for earlier and earlier opportunities before anyone else has spotted them, or local councils who loved the deep tech startup in their region that's making the headlines and all the data we had on them, but still didn't really understand or had no great data source for the thousands of retail, manufacturing or service companies that really make up and fuel their local economy. So over the past several years, our focus has been on transforming our data set and our platform to provide the same rich understanding built on high quality data, but over the whole UK economy. Those of you who've been with us knows it's an iterative process. We don't want to release a data set if we're not happy with it, so we keep working through to release data when it's just right. The key to this transformation has been learning how to make the most of the human expertise that still lies at the heart of every part of our data, but scale this up using the latest in automation and machine learning techniques to deliver the same quality of data, but at a much larger scale. A key step was taking the regulatory data and financial data that we have on every single company and linking it to other public sources like websites at a massive scale. And this helps us really understand the real business activity that's going on with the company and link it back to all of their financial and regulatory filings, where they're actually located rather than where they say they are on Companies House, and many more aspects. We've also looked further, adding completely new data sets, such as global patent filings on every single UK company, to really understand the innovation space, what goods they're importing and exporting, as well as ESG and risk factors more recently. All of this combined onto one unified company profile to help you give a really fast understanding of a company, and all completely searchable to help you find the companies that are most interesting to you. Today, we're going to talk about the latest step we've taken in this journey, a data set that we've been working on actually throughout this process. It's our new industry classification system. To find out more, I'm going to pass you over to the experts. Later, you'll see a live demo from Paolo and our client experience team. But first, I'm going to pass to John, who's on our data product team, who'll talk you a bit more through about why we focused on this area and how we actually built the data set. If you have any questions, please throw them in the chat. We'll try to get through as many as possible at the end. But if we don't make it to your question, we will endeavor to get back to you after the call as well, and can happy to answer any of these questions privately or with other meetings as well. So over to you, John.
All right, thank you for the lovely intro, Elliot. I'm just going to quickly share a little presentation. Elliot, can I just double check that you can see this okay?
Yep.
Amazing. So yeah, as Elliot mentioned, I'm going to be talking to you a little about what we've done with our classification system, and I'm also going to touch upon how we've done it. I think now, to really understand what we've done and understand how we've done it, it's really important to start with the why. And to do this, I want to talk to you a little bit about a task. I want you to imagine that your boss has come to your desk and asked you to identify all the companies in the UK within a certain market. Let's call it all the life sciences companies in Nottingham. And this could be for any reason. It might be for a sales push, it might be to gather competitor intel, or it could be for a bit of market research. But the end result is a list of all of these life sciences companies. So right now, what are your solutions? Well, you could use a data provider like us. You could use Google, or additionally, and I think this is quite common, is that you could use SIC codes. Now, all of these are fine, but they do have some glaring issues. Data providers, whilst great tools, are rarely comprehensive, and they quite often struggle with quality. Google is extremely powerful, but gathering information on every life sciences company via Google is slow and expensive. And so to fill this mandate, you're quite often stuck with, at least in some capacity, resorting to SIC codes. But they've got a whole plethora of issues. And in fact, at Bowhurst, SIC codes are becoming quite infamous for these issues. Now, I'm sure everyone here is familiar with them, but just to quickly summarize, SIC codes are nearly 2 decades old, and so we're really out of touch with the modern day economy. They can be extremely niche and hard to unravel, and there's no obligation for companies to update them over time. So the second a company pivots, they often go out of date. And frankly, they often give no indication of what the company actually does. All you have to do is look at Revolut. And for those who haven't seen this before, this is a tiny, tiny sneak peek of our platform. But Revolut, a £25 billion bank, simply has activities of other holding companies, NEC, as their SIC code. And that tells you nothing about the sector that they're in. So what we found is that historically, there's been no good economy-wide classification system in the UK. But what we've also found is that we're uniquely positioned to change that. Now, I'll forgive you for not taking my word at face value for that, but I do believe why there are 3 main reasons we're able to solve this problem. And in short, it boils down to our expertise, our harmonization of people and technology, and our philosophy of rich data in, rich data out. Our expertise. Classifying companies is something we've been doing for 15 years. And so it's an area we're intimately familiar with. It's always been at the core of what we do. Admittedly, it's not on the same scale. And as Elliot mentioned, it's historically been focused on the high growth portion of the economy. But we've been building up our expertise here since the foundations of Bowhurst. We also embrace how powerful the combination of smart people and smart technology can be. By using both to their strengths, we get the best of both worlds. We get the scale that can only come through technology, and we get the quality that can only come with a human touch. I find that data is like money, and to make it, you need to have it. So to classify a company, you need to have data on what that company does. We already have tons of information on every single company in the UK, both regulatory and proprietary, and we can use this rich data to create even more data in our classification system. So that's why I think we can do it. But what is it that we've actually done? Well, we've used our strengths to build an industry matrix that touches every corner of the economy. We've used our 15 years of expertise and built a robust industry matrix covering over 300 different industries and buzzwords, all the way from classic industries like manufacturing and agriculture to industries like life sciences. And those are used alongside our emerging buzzwords, things like nanotechnology and space mining. And this hasn't just come from us either. We've spent years gathering tons of feedback from our customers on our own classification system and SIC codes to ensure that this new matrix meets your needs. We also ensure that our people and our technology are constantly working together. It's no secret that to do this at scale, we're using advanced machine learning algorithms, but we ensure that across all levels, our data team is intimately involved with the process. From building the training set of over 100,000 labels to reviewing and enhancing the output, and every step in between, our data team is involved. When it comes to machine learning, you are what you eat, and a model is only as good as the data it uses. So to ensure we output the highest quality labels possible, we always use high quality inputs. And this comes from a vast range of sources that go far beyond just registry data. Of course, we use data from Companies House, but we go a step further and look at a company's website to gather as much information as we can before coming to a decision. And this website data is not just keyword matching either. We use semantic interpretation from large language models and feed that into our system so we can give you the best picture of that company's vertical. So that's how we've done it. What does this actually look like? It looks like 4.6 million companies classified, spanning a matrix of over 300 unique industries and buzzwords. This gives us, as far as we know, the most comprehensive classification system in the country. And I could sit here and talk to you forever about what it looks like and what it's capable of, but frankly, I think the data set speaks for itself. And so I'm going to hand you back over now to our platform expert, Paolo, to show you the power of this new data set firsthand.
Thank you very much, John. I'll start by sharing my screen again, and hopefully you'll be able to see the platform in front of you. So yes, as John said, I'm one of our client experience managers here, and my role is to ensure that all of our users of the platform are able to understand and utilize our data sets and tools effectively to find the information they're most interested in. So for those of you who are familiar with the platform, this is our advanced search, which is where we're able to query our database of companies and layer on company criteria to find those that we really want to find. The first thing that I'm going to show you is how we can use our new industry classification to generate both broad and niche lists of companies operating in certain areas. And then I'm going to show you how we've integrated this industry classification into our statistics as well, to help you view aggregate information on entire lists of companies, to help you just better understand the companies you're looking at. So to start off with generating lists of businesses, we can see we can add company criteria here. I can and have spoken for hours around all the different options we can search across, but we're all here for one reason today, which is our industries and buzzwords, which we can find under what the company does. So clicking on this criteria here, we can see it opens up our sector selector, where on the right, we've got every industry which we've tagged and which we can search across. And then on the left, we've got some of the common groupings for these industries to sort of make it easier to find what we're looking for. We also have a handy search bar as well if you just want to find a specific industry to look across. Now, there's a bunch of examples that I've walked and supported our users in building already, but the one that I'm going to show you today is life sciences and medical technology. So if we select that there, we can see the list on the right is restricted to just our life sci related industries. We could pick and choose the exact ones that we're interested in if we're wanting to be a bit more niche. But to start nice and broad, I'll just select all of the industries and buzzwords within this area. And then by clicking confirm and running the search, we can find any UK company that is tagged with any one of these life sci related industries. And we can see this gives us just under 13,000 results. So it's a great illustration of how quickly we can get a very broad picture of a given industry in the UK. One of the most powerful aspects of this industries update is that we're tagging companies with as many industries as are relevant to them. And that means that we can do some quite clever overlap searches to not just look within life sci, but actually find those that are tagged with multiple industries that are relevant. And to do this, we can just layer in industries and buzzwords again. So I'll select add company criteria and pick our industries and buzzwords once more. There's a couple of common examples that come up, whether we want to search within the overlap of industries or look to exclude overlaps that aren't relevant. And I'll illustrate how we could do that in a moment. But a very common one would be to say, find me life science companies that are also tagged with manufacturing, because we're specifically looking at those which are creating new products or inventing new tech within the market. And to do this, it's just a matter of selecting the overlaps that I want. So I can go down to our supply chain, manufacturing and commerce models group and select all of those within the manufacturing subset. And then it's just a matter of selecting all 5 of these manufacturing related sub-industries. And then if I click confirm, what this new list is going to show us is every UK company tagged with any one of our life sci related industries and buzzwords and any one of our manufacturing related ones. And what we can see is this very quickly gives us a nice bespoke list of a couple of hundred manufacturing life science companies, which we can view there. If you wanted to delve into this list a little further, all of these have clickable company profiles where you'll be able to see the full plethora of information we pull through for them. And often the next steps that I support our users with is refining this list further. So if this were a training session, I would potentially suggest some of our other criteria to refine this, potentially looking over a more niche location, perhaps to a specific region that you're interested in. Maybe layering in any of our signals, which will include both growth and innovation historic events, as well as any ESG signals, if that's relevant to you, or a range of criteria to do with their people and investment history. For example, are they actively hiring and have they received any venture capital investment recently? Plenty of options to further refine this search to make sure that you can find the right companies in the right industry and then approach them at the right time, depending on their characteristics. If instead we wanted to find companies within a certain industry, but exclude those that are overlapped with an industry we don't care about, like consultancy or distribution or supply chain, for example. It's just a matter of picking the industries we don't want and changing this drop down to none. And that will actively exclude any companies which are tagged with any overlaps that we don't want. So that's an example of how we can use our industries update to generate bespoke lists of companies. The other aspect I said I would show is how this integrates into our statistics tab. So to do this, I'll remove our overlap search and broaden this back out to those 13,000 lifestyle related companies. And then by clicking on the statistics tab, this is going to show us aggregate information that we pulled together for all of those businesses. And this is available for any advanced search query that you run, as well as any custom collection. So save lists of interesting companies that you've saved to your account. Clicking into this here, you can see plenty of aggregate information for all of these businesses. I'm actually going to scroll past all of these other useful pieces of information until we get down here to our industry ranking. What this is going to show you is which sub-industries within life science are sort of contributing the most to this area. And it's a great way to get a greater understanding of what actually makes up the UK life science sector. As we can see, pharmaceuticals, medical devices and instruments, and clinical diagnostics are the most popular sort of components of the life science industry. But actually, we can also see a couple of fringe industries which aren't part of life sciences, but which are regularly overlapping with that sector. For example, application software or data provision. And what we can do is we can then use this information to further refine whatever search we were putting together. Maybe we want to search within the overlap of software and life sci, or actively exclude any which maybe aren't actually creating new instruments or products. The reason why I quite like this industry ranking is because it's a great thing to compare to how we were able to do this beforehand. If we change this industry view to an SIC code group view, you can see exactly what we mean by this. We will still keep SIC codes on the platform for wherever they are relevant. But if we look at the UK life science industry from an SIC code perspective, we can see the top couple of SIC code groups are professional, scientific, and technical activities. We've got a lot of overlap with retail trade and the repair of motor vehicles, as well as your more sort of generic manufacturing and social work activities. Really, it tells you nothing about the makeup of these companies. And you can use this information to understand better whatever group you're looking at, whether that's sort of understanding your portfolio companies a little clearer, researching your specific region or a selection of cohort companies, or just maybe looking to scope out your target market to maybe identify areas where you don't want to target these new companies. Cross-referencing that back to our industry group, we can see just how much more descriptive these industries are to really help you understand which component industries form the basis of the broader life science sector. So that about wraps it up for the demo. As a reminder, we looked at how we can use our new industries to generate bespoke and broad lists of companies for your targeting, and then view aggregate statistics to gain a deeper understanding of what makes up any given sector. Naturally, you'll probably want to have a play around with this yourself. So if you already have an account, please do get in touch with your account manager or client experience manager, and they'll be more than happy to run through some tailored bespoke training to show you how you can use this. Or of course, if you're new to Bauhurst, please do book a demo, and we'd love to have a chat around how this can help you. I'll now hand back to Elliot to kick us off with a Q&A in case there are any questions. So Elliot, back to you.
Great. Thanks, Val and John. That was really interesting. Yeah, we've got a few questions coming in already. I know Rob on our team's already answered a couple, but I think for those not following the chat, I think we'll dive into them as well because they're really interesting questions. First off, just as a process, someone's asked, agents asked, is the session recorded? Yes, this will be recorded and sent to everyone straight after this session. So if you want to watch again or share with colleagues and things like that. There was a question from Quinton asking, you had the HQ being UK. Paola, is that required to kind of make use of this data?
Yes, it's a good question. It's not, however, it's normally a good first step, just because our primary focus for the time being is still the UK. We will have profiles of international businesses on the platform where they have strong links to the UK economy, for example, if they've collaborated on any funding with UK businesses. But just as a common first step, it's nice to search over the UK businesses, but it's not a requirement.
Cool, thank you. And John, one for you. Does this extend beyond tracked companies? For those who don't know, tracked companies are what we used to have as our kind of high growth ecosystem. So it's around 30 to 40,000 companies that have met one of our triggers before we started expanding our data set out to the whole economy.
Yeah, in short, yes, absolutely. We've got 4.6 million companies classified with this system. So yeah, far beyond the original 30 to 40,000 that we have. It goes across all companies in the UK.
Lovely, thank you. And another one for you, John. How do the sources of company information break down? So like company websites, for example, and I guess the other part of this is how do we get to the 4.6 rather than the 5.5 million active UK companies?
Yeah, so for the first part, we do use quite a variety. For websites, I think the number stands now at maybe 1.4 million. So for that sort of subset of companies, we can use all the information from the website to come to the industries that we have. For the rest, we do rely on regulatory data, and there is a small amount of sort of manual research that goes into sort of press release mentions and maybe portfolio mentions on fund profiles. When it comes to how we get to the 4.6 million, so classifying every company in the UK is really, really difficult. You wouldn't believe how many companies there are that are registered with Companies House, but virtually don't exist. And that's either because they just exist as empty shell to hold some assets and they don't really have any operations, or their online presence is non-existent entirely. So the only way to understand what that company is to go visit it in person and see what they do. And so for those companies, we do really struggle, as anyone would, to classify them. But those that do have online presences or do have information in their accounts and regulatory filings that we can use, we do classify as many of those as we possibly can.
Excellent, thank you. Yeah, sorry, just like quite a lot of questions going through. This is great. As I said, if we don't get to your question in time, we will come back and answer it you directly. One for you, Paolo. Ian asks, can you use the new industry categories to retrospectively search collections which you've already downloaded?
Another short, easy answer, yes. The statistics tab, which I highlighted there, is available for every advanced search that you run, as well as every collection. So just navigate to the collection in question, click on the statistics, and scroll down to see the industry classification there.
Great, and I'd just add, if you already have a collection that's running off our previous sector matrix, that's still operating, but if you need help kind of turning that into and seeing the relevant industries, this new industry matrix that we've created, and how that can help you kind of scale up the number of companies you're looking at, you can reach out to your kind of client experience team as well. John, one from Karen. How accurate is this data? Always a tricky question.
In short, very. We kind of have a little philosophy that we would rather not tag a company at all with any industries or buzzwords rather than tag it incorrectly. So we have quite a high bar for quality. And so we don't really like to take many risks here. So we ensure that we do, output really high quality data. And if we're not sure, we are on the side of caution and don't tag it at all. So you're unlikely to see, hardly any incorrect ones.
Cool. And it's a related question from Luca. Is there any way for us to add or recommend buzzwords and industries for companies?
Yeah, absolutely. If you do notice that they're incorrect or you think it's missing some, you can just get in touch with our data team, send a request to them. There's a button on every company profile, and they'll be happy to either amend them where necessary or add new ones for you.
Lovely. And even more on the same topic, how often, how are we refreshing this data and keeping it up to date?
Yeah, so we have an ongoing manual process. So that extends across all tracked companies and then beyond into the ACD as well, all companies, where we do continually refresh these and keep them up to date. We also rescrape the websites every 3 or so months, and we use that data to output new industries. And we are continuously, and I think this is the important bit, creating new data to feed to train the model. Models go stale over time, so we need to continuously update it, and we do always collect more data in this area to keep that model up to date, so the next time it outputs industries, it is still up to date for that company.
Great, thank you. Maybe I'll take this one. I said the first thing people ask for is more and more companies. The second thing people ask for is more countries. So Natasha asked us if we're adding any other countries on the platform. Watch this space. We'll have some exciting things to announce very soon on that. If you are interested in having data in more countries, the same sort of Bohas data in lots of other countries, do let us know. We're keen to talk to you about your needs and how we can best kind of meet those. So yes, hopefully something very exciting to announce soon there. What's the basis, John, one for you, what's the basis of grouping industries and buzzwords? Just curious how some of them are grouped together in the same group. I think manufacturing and commerce, for example.
Yeah, so I think on the surface, to go into this specific example, manufacturing and commerce models are in the same top level group, but we do have more groupings underneath that. So once you click into manufacturing and commerce models, you'll see that we do actually separate those two out into manufacturing and commerce models. And I think there's a couple others within that group as well. So we tried to keep the top level ones as broad as possible, so it's easy to identify immediately the general space that you want to see. You can click into that, dig a little deeper, and then we'll break it down further so you can hone into exactly what you want. We have been grouping sectors for a really, really long time. We've been doing it with our existing matrix that we have on the platform now. And also we have a lot of experience looking at the SIC code ones too. So we've taken feedback from customers on those groupings, looked at where we'd see that they're not very good and where they've been strong, and kept where they're strong, and where they're not very strong, improved on them.
Don't think we can quite hear you, Elliot. Sorry, I think you're still on mute.
Yeah, sorry, I was just reading through ever more questions. This is great. Thanks, everyone. One area for you, Paolo, is it possible to find individuals that are working at companies in particular industries? For example, people that work at in a manufacturing department, for example.
Another question where I'm happy to say the answer is a short yes. This is part of some additional functionality called our networks add-on, which there's a chance your particular account might not have, but please do get in touch with your account manager or client experience manager to check whether you do, and for information around what this entails. But with that additional functionality, you are able to run searches for people. We have information on all shareholders, directors, shareholders and directors at every UK company. So we could run a search for people with multiple shareholdings or directorships in the manufacturing space, as well as C-suite individuals and key people for those sort of more high growth businesses as well. So yes, absolutely, we can run those searches for individuals.
Great, thank you. I see there's a few more questions. Unfortunately, we are almost at the end of the session now, but we will make sure everyone else that asked a question will make sure to get back to you after the session and dive into those topics. There's a couple of other really interesting topics that we could spend a lot of time talking about. So yeah, thank you so much everyone for joining. It's been great, and thanks for all the questions. If you are an existing customer and you want to find out more, please speak to your client experience manager. And if you're still new to Bohurst and interested in a demo and how we could help in your area, please just kind of book a demo or speak to the account executive you might already be speaking to. But I hope everyone has a lovely day. Thank you.